Hi, this is Timothy Zahn, author of Thrawn, and you're listening to Star Wars Reactions. Good for you.
There's been an awakening. Have you felt it?
In 1977, George Lucas formed a legacy.
The Force is with me, and I am with the Force.
Inspired by mythology, his saga has become a passion for many.
Feel the Force around you.
His legend has become our story.
It's true. All of it.
One of resistance.
We are the spark that'll light the fire that'll burn the First Order down.
Rebellion.
Rebellion is built on hope.
And redemption.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
This is Star Wars Reactions.
Remember, the Force will be with you. Always.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Star Wars Reactions. We're back with another fun-filled episode this week. We're going to have a blast as we reintroduce and continue our vintage reaction series. It's so looking forward to this. So let's get the introductions clear and out of the way. My name is Aaron Harris, and joining me is the Chewie to my Wicket, the David Motters. David, brother, how you doing?
Doing good. Perfect little analogy there, considering what we're going to be covering here in this episode. And I'm ready to react and record with you, brother man.
Absolutely. We're going to have a great discussion about the 7th episode of the Ewoks series here in a few moments. But a few things we want to go over. Of course, this is being released May 4th, 2023. So, ladies and gentlemen, happy Star Wars Day. I hope y'all are having a blast in whatever you're doing. And, of course, with it being Star Wars Day, remember there is a ton of stuff that's being released today. A lot of great deals going on. But I wanted to recap real quick just some of the awesome shows that were in stuff that's coming out today. Of course, on all this is on Disney Plus. We're getting the 2nd season of Visions today, which is going to be interesting to watch. It's going to be fun to watch. Of course, Young Jedi Adventures is premiering as well, which is the kids show based in the new High Republic era. Of Star Wars, so that's being released. Then, of course, this was just announced on Tuesday the 2nd, but Disney announced that they are also releasing another Star Wars themed Simpsons short for May 4th, which came totally out of left field, and I am so excited to sit down and watch this. It is the Maggie Simpson in Rogue Not Quite One. She's been not quite one for like 30 some seasons.
That's right. Yeah. And I've liked the previous ones that are there. I'll go back and watch them periodically with Maggie. So they're good. I don't expect this to be any less excellent as those.
Oh no, absolutely not. They have done quite an awesome job with these shows and everything. So I am quite looking forward to this short. Because to be honest, I have watched. I'll admit it. I'm going to admit it. I have watched every episode of The Simpsons on Disney Plus.
Oh my gosh, dude!
All 30 some seasons they have on there.
Oh my God, that is impressive. Oh my Lord.
Well, I mean, for the longest time with working from home, I would want some noise on in the background. So I would turn the TV on and just turn on The Simpsons, something I could turn my brain off and have the noise. And then I catch myself watching it every once in a while. But it was, I've gone through all 30 seasons to the point where starts recommending other shows for me because there's no more Simpsons for me to watch.
Jeez, that's wow, man. I don't know if I know anybody else who's done that.
Well, I know a couple of people that have done it, but they've done it, each week as the episodes have come out over the last 30 years. They've watched it. But I binged it on Disney Plus. Score one, Aaron. David, too, moving on from our May 4th releases. Actually, I got to ask you, David, what are you doing today for May 4th?
Well, nothing too much. We've got actually some friends coming into town, and so they had a thing downtown, just kind of a get together. It was going to be kind of come dressed up and all that kind of stuff, but nothing too much here. I think what I'll be doing, well, I know probably to a great extent, is watching Visions, season 2, and that Maggie Simpson short. So that'll keep me busy that night. How about you?
Well, if things go as planned, I will be spending the day at Galaxy's Edge.
Yes.
So fingers crossed things go as planned, because I still have not been on Rise of the Resistance.
Oh.
And I need to get on Rise of the Resistance.
Oh, yeah.
If I end up going and I don't get on Rise of the Resistance, I don't know what I'll do.
Well, it is a neat,
because that'll be like the third trip that I have not been able to get on.
Yeah.
Right. I have missed out on each time. So hopefully things are, the force is with me on today, and I can see it.
Yeah. Fingers crossed, and the force is with you, man.
Absolutely.
And then we can finally talk about it.
All right. Well, let us go ahead and move on from May 4th. But David, I understand that you had some stories you wanted to tell us about your cruise that you went on in March.
Yeah, I've been holding off on this just because of, our March reactions madness. We had so much to cover with Bad Batch and Mandalorian. You and I filled those shows top to bottom, and of course had Psychology Corners. We had Star Wars Dad Jokes of the Week, and so I just thought I'd hold off on this till now. It's a perfect time to put it in. But back in March, went on my first cruise, and we left out of Port Canaveral here in Florida and went down to the Bahamas and back. And one night, actually it was the last night we were on, they had a Star Wars trivia contest, and so all the families that we were with wanted to go do it. So we were all there, and there was a big crowd in this particular lounge. It's called the Star Lounge, and so they did it, and they had 20 questions, and you could do groups of people. I think he wanted the guy doing it. He did a nice job, a group of 6, because he did have an actual prize, and we didn't know what it was. But he says, hey, don't do more than 6 because I have 6 prizes. And so got together, and I had my buddy Andy Works, his son Noah Works. Big shout out to Noah, big Star Wars fan. And we did the 20 questions, and the guy asked, how many got this many right and this many right? We got up to 15, and everyone, kind of kept clapping. Then it really kind of went down from there, and some people had 16 right. I thought, oh man, I'm getting a little nervous here. How many, because we graded them, and then he asked, what we had. And then I got to 17, and it was just one other group and us. And then the guy asked, how many of you had 18? And me and Andy Works and Noah Works raised our hands, and we won it. So we won with 18 out of 20. And so that was pretty fun. And just a couple of the questions they had. One of the first ones was, what monster or beast eats Ula in, when Jabba throws her down in the pit, and of course Rancor. They had a Mara Jade question. I got that, so they had one of those. He asked the question, what's the name of Boba Fett's ship? One Star Wars geek in there said, the old name or the new name? And so we listed both, Slave 1 and the Fire Spray. It was kind of cool. They asked, what saying has been in every movie? I've got a bad feeling about this. Another one asked, he put this picture up of all these Marvel and DC superheroes and villains, right? And so it's just a mixture. And he just basically asked the question, what is the name of the character that Mark Hamill voices? And that, of course, got that to Joker. Another one he did, Aaron, is he put a picture up on the screen, and it was just Geonosis. It was just like kind of the spires that like looks like they were built like by ants and stuff, but of course built by the Geonosians. So got that. I think some people might have missed that if they weren't big geeks. Here's one more, and then we can move on. He asked the question, what was the fake production name for Return of the Jedi, considering we're here at the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi, and of course we got it with Blue Harvest. And so there you go, man. There's just a smattering of the questions, but we got 18 out of 20. We beat the second place team that had 17, and we were victorious. And the gift we got were these little blue stress balls that had the Royal Caribbean symbol on them. And so I have one. I kept it, and the rest of the kids that were in our group, we gave them to the kids, and of course they're throwing them all around and having fun. So yes, your co-host is a Royal Caribbean Cruise Star Wars trivia champion. So there you go. How's that, Aaron?
That is awesome. That's so cool. I'm so proud of you. I'm going to make one correction though before we get yelled at on social media. And Superman is not a Marvel character; he's a DC character. So
no question. No, what I was saying is they had a mixture of superheroes and villains from both DC and Marvel.
Oh, okay, I missed that. I thought you said Marvel character. I thought you said they had Marvel characters up there.
Sorry about that. No, he just did a whole mixture, so you didn't know.
Okay.
And I think some people probably didn't know that Mark Hamill did it, but he did. He put a mixture of both up there. Heroes, villains from both
Marvel and DC.
Yeah, that was
okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hamill did such an awesome job as Joker. So
brilliant work. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You were there when he was at Star Wars Weekends, right? You saw his.
Well,
did you see his panel at Star Wars Weekends?
Well, no, I watched the video of Donald Taylor interviewing him. Or
yes.
No, where I saw him, Celebration 2012 in Orlando.
Gotcha.
2012, and he did a reading. I was up pretty close and watched him do it. It was incredible.
See, I saw him I was in the Star Wars Weekends panel.
Yeah.
And he did some Joker, and the place went nuts.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And he's like, I better stop before I get fussed at for doing that voice at Disney.
Yeah.
WB would not be happy with that.
True.
But oh my gosh, so much fun. So much fun. So well, we got an episode to discuss tonight, my friend. We are sitting down and we are discussing bringing back our vintage reaction series. And we're going to continue with our march through the Ewoks series from the 80s. This, of course, the next episode that is up is the 7th episode, entitled The Curse of the Jindas. This episode, of course, was released on October 19th of 1985. I was 5.
I wasn't 5, so yeah.
I was 5, which is probably why I never watched them. This was written by Bob Carew and directed by Raymond Jaffalis. In Curse of the Jindas, we see Wicket, Nisa, Latera, Paplu, Wichi traveling to Muth's store to trade for winter supplies. They come across Jindas who are relaxing by the waterfall, taking a chill. A curse on the Jindas involves floating rocks chasing them, and we learn later in the episode that it was put on them by a rock wizard. At Muth, Wicket ends up buying an incredibly lucky stone, and that his brothers criticize him for purchasing. On the way back to the Ewok village, Wicket and his friends don't get lucky. They get captured by Scandits. Yeah, Scandits. Sounds like bandits, but they're Scandits. The Jindas end up helping them escape and return. Logray agrees to help them break the curse on the Jindas. After Logray helps stop the curse, the rock wizard shows up, and the Ewoks learn that the curse was from the rock wizard thinking that they were that the Jindas were trying to poison him. In reality, his pain that was in his mouth that made him think he was being poisoned was because he lost a tooth. The lucky stone Wicked had bought at Moose was his missing tooth. The stone ended up being lucky because it stopped the rock wizard and ended up ending the curse on the Jindas, and everybody lived happily ever after. The end.
That is.
The end, literally the end. So let's go ahead and jump into our initial reactions, and I'll kick us off here. There's nothing like 80s animation, and the Ewok series basically embodies everything I love about 80s Saturday morning cartoons. It's fun. For me, it's new because I've never seen them before. So as we're reviewing each of these for vintage reactions, I'm watching them for the first time. And there's always lessons to learn. As someone who, like I said, who never watched these, I have to admit it blows my mind to think that we were getting Star Wars animation in the 80s. As far as this particular episode with the Jindas, it was fun. I like the fact that we got to see more creatures, which we never knew existed on Endor. Those rocks could have come in really handy against the Empire, I think. But I mean, a bunch of new creatures that end up contributing to the story. I love how and I don't know if it was just me, but the Jinda Society, we find out, because the rocks are always chasing them, they're always on the move, because if they stop, the rocks find them and the curse gets them and they have to run again. So it's a society constantly on the move, which kind of, in a way, kind of mirrors the rebellion. How if the rebellion is always on the move, and if they stop, the Empire will catch them. So I thought that kind of simple symbolism was just like really cool and a lot of fun to think about. And it could just be me overanalyzing an 80s cartoon, which is very much possible, but I enjoyed it and thought that was awesome. And honestly, to think this whole episode was all about a toothache. I mean, our buddy Ryder Waldron over at Star Wars School of Dentistry would have a field day with this episode. So I'm going to shoot him an email saying, hey, you need to check this out. It's all about toothache. And see what he has to say there. But fun episode. I enjoyed it. How about you, David?
Well, I'll say this. Hearing your initial reactions, I really like that. I did not pick up on that, but I don't think it was overanalyzing. I think it's a really good example of, the Jindas having to stay on the move like the rebellion. I like it. I'm going with it. I'm not going to steal it from you. No, from my initial reactions, just like the previous episodes we've covered, it's been a while since we put one of these out, but Aaron and I have said this. It is classic 80s cartoons. I was what? Let's see, going into the fall of 85, 86. So I was 17, right? Is that right? Because then...
Are you really that much older than me?
Well, I'm 10. What are you? You're 19. I'm 10 years older than you. So I would have been 15. Sorry.
Okay.
Because you're 79. I'm 69. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would have been right about there. And so, again, for me, it's fun to come back and watch these because I didn't watch them at the time. You didn't, and I didn't. I was deep into high school basketball all the time in the fall, practicing in the gym, etc. But for me, just like you, it's fun to watch. And I really like the little twist there at the end where the stone that Wicket bought really was lucky. I thought that was a a fun little twist at the end. It was cute, and his brothers were kind of eating their words, so that was kind of fun. But yeah, so just fun stuff, just fun, little moral to the story, and enjoyable. Weird, but enjoyable.
Yeah, it truly was enjoyable, and it was a lot of fun. I will say though, I do kind of feel sorry for Nisa, because Wicket traded for that stone, gave it to her, and then he had to take it back and give it to the wizard to save the day.
Yeah. No. Easy come, easy go, right, buddy?
Easy come, easy go. Oh, well, let's jump into this. One of the great things that, and I even mentioned it during my opening remarks, is just the different creatures we're getting in this series. Because, without even, and it gets really overlooked because it's a vintage series from the 80s. It's not canon or anything like that, but it created a ton of just new creatures that we don't see anywhere else, like the Jindas and these floating rocks. We had floating trees in the last episode. It's very unique to have these creatures going around, and the Jindas, really weird creatures. They're definitely interesting, and it'd be fun. What are your thoughts on the Jindas, David? I just got to get your thoughts. Tell me what you think about the Jindas.
Well, like I said, 40 years ago when I was 14 and saw Return of the Jedi opening night at a theater near you. We saw Endor, right, for the first time. Never, knew that, you'd get a series like this with all these, fantastical beings and stuff, but it really fits into the creative imagination of George Lucas. The Jindas are weird. Even, the head guy there, Mr. Bondo, very weird, but very nice, very helpful to the Ewoks and so on. I should have written down the name of his right-hand man, the guy who helps him get away from the Skandits. I meant to write he's very weird looking. And all the Jindas, they look alike. And I'm looking at them going, this is just like a little weird here. Okay, a lot weird. But what I chalk it up to is, I keep thinking back to like what your age was. Like, at the time, when you're a kid watching it versus an adult, you see it through different eyes. And I wish I could have seen it as a young kid at that time and now look at it as an adult. Really, I'm just looking back at it as an adult. But if my younger me would just eat this up, because I ate up the cantina in the original Star Wars. So they're weird but fun. And I could imagine kids, in the 80s that were watching this just probably had just a fun time with it.
It is fun, you could, of course, Saturday morning cartoons were just life in the 80s and even the early 90s too. You lived for your Saturday morning cartoons. You, even being overseas where I grew up, I didn't have Ewoks, but I had other Saturday morning cartoons that made it down there, that I would get up and watch, like the Garfield. California Raisins. You remember the California Raisins?
Yes.
Yeah, they had a Saturday morning cartoon that ended up down where I grew up and in South America. So, and they were just fun shows like that. That just great way just to clear your mind, relax, have a good laugh, have a good time, learn a lesson, and then go about your Saturday having fun playing outside. Those were the days. You watch TV in the morning, outside in the afternoon.
Yeah.
There was just so much to do. So,
yeah.
Oh, so much. Where was I? Let's talk about the whole we're talking about the creatures. We talked about the Jindas. Of course, we got the floating rocks, which are just literally. When they showed up on the screen, I honestly, my first reaction was, seriously? Seriously? Floating rocks, right?
Yeah. Said floating trees, not floating rocks. Yes.
That's just, part of me was like, that's lazy writing. Then I'm like, well, no, it is the 80s. So it was, more fantasy during that time period. But yeah, floating boulders. We definitely, I'm sure Han and Leia would have loved to add some of the floating boulders during the Battle of Endor. Just start throwing those at the bunker door or at the ATSTs walking around. Throw some boulder. I'm sure it would have saved a few Ewoks' lives. But hey, what do I know? Should have called in a favor. Hey, we gave you your tooth back. Come knock some Imperials around. I guess that would have made it a little too easy if they'd done that, huh?
I think so. Definitely.
So one thing that I noticed and I wanted to ask you about, we see the Jindas when they're escaping from the rocks, the floating rocks. And again, when they rescue the Ewoks and are escaping the Skandits, they jump on these creatures and they start riding away. Are those Eopies?
I'm glad you brought this up because you got me thinking. Again, Aaron and I put these notes together. He put stuff in, I put stuff in. And I'm really glad Aaron put this in because it got me thinking about the two, under vintage entrees that you can get at Disney Plus, Star Wars vintage ones, is the Caravan of Courage and what are the two? Isn't that bad? The Caravan of Courage and what's the other? Oh, the Battle for Endor. Is that right? Yeah. So in that, we see what? We see the Blurgs for the first time, and now we see Mandalorian, right, bringing them back in season 1 there, with Queel and Mando riding them. And the reason I bring that up is because, that was mid-'80s, and I wouldn't be surprised that the creators, what is it, Nelvana, they did droids and Ewoks. If they said, hey, Lucasfilm, what kind of drawings, sketches do you have, of, creatures that can be ridden, like blurgs and all that kind of stuff. And I wouldn't be surprised if Lucasfilm didn't give them something like this as an Eopie, and later on in, Phantom Menace, here's George Lucas using it. I guess we saw it last year at this time when Obi-Wan premiered. Right? I think so, right? Isn't that what Obi-Wan's riding? Yeah. So I'm telling you, I think it very well could be an initial sketch that, that they had at that time, right in the mid-'80s.
It could be. I mean, I'd have to do a lot, get some. I really would need like art of books out and stuff to see if that's where they got the idea from. But I mean, they look very similar. Maybe a bit larger than. It could just be looking large because the Ewoks are small.
Yeah, well, I think it's a good catch, buddy.
But I could have swore those things were the Eopies that we see in I think we saw in episode 1. We saw them in Kenobi, so they're out there. So tell us what y'all thought. I'd love to hear that.
Yeah.
So a lot of fun stuff in the episode, and I mentioned in my opening remarks, and you commented on it in yours too, about how the Jinda society kind of mirrors the rebellion. And this isn't in our show notes as a talking point. It's just something that I just wanted to hit on real quick before we go into our final thoughts. And it's, little things like that type of symbolism and those little things that we're used to seeing in Clone Wars and Rebels and Resistance, those types of nods and symbolisms and stuff. It's amazing to think that we were getting that in a small 80s cartoon, that was designed to entertain kids on a Saturday morning and just teach them a simple lesson. But there's that small twinge of symbolism in there still as well that relates back to the rest of the saga. And I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the writers had the original trilogy to look at. They did. They had all three. Yeah.
So, all right. Well, anything else before we go into our final thoughts, my friend?
No, I feel like we've gone in more depth than probably most. we did a good job, I think. Yeah.
True. So, final thoughts. Let's kick it off. For me, I'm loving this journey through vintage Star Wars, which for me is a first being able to watch a lot of these episodes. They're simple. They're fun to watch. They're just a fun, good way to just pass time if you need to, while also reliving childhood and seeing how much animation styles have changed. It's just a good way to relax, and it's something fun and something I look forward to doing as well. Fun story, lots of new creatures. I love seeing new creatures. It's just was a very enjoyable story. How about you, Dave? What are your final thoughts?
Oh, yeah, same as you. I'm just having a blast watching these classic Star Wars cartoons. I mean, come on, it's in essence new Star Wars content for you and me, and that's always enjoyable. I was watching this the other night to catch up on it, and so that you and I could talk about it. And my son Eli sat down next to me and asked if I'd watched these episodes back in '85 and '86. And just like I mentioned a few minutes ago, I was a sophomore and a junior in high school, and totally consumed with high school basketball. And honestly, looking back at it now, I'm actually thankful to watch these. They're fresh, and watching them with you. It's fresh for you and me. It's not. I don't have like, oh yeah, I remember that from that many years ago. So I'm really appreciating them as a piece of Star Wars history, and like I said, just have fun. There's enough stress and problems in the world. Yeah, let me just veg out and enjoy a fun little Star Wars new content for Aaron and me. So yeah, having a good time.
Perfect. Now, of course, we would love to hear from you and tell us what you think about the Star Wars, about vintage Star Wars, Ewoks, this episode and everything. You can always hit us up anywhere on social media at Facebook and Twitter at SW Reactions Pod. Then, of course, Instagram and Pinterest. And, of course, on Tumblr, where you can find all of our show notes at SW Reactions. Or email us swreactions@gmail.com. David, if somebody wants to talk Star Wars with you, how would we go about doing that?
Absolutely. Two different places. One is Twitter. It is at David_Modders, MODDERS. The other one is Instagram. Just simply type in my name, David Modders, and there I be.
Excellent. Of course, if you want to talk Star Wars with me, the best place to do that is on Twitter at TAHarris121079. So hit me up there anytime. We would love to hear from you. Of course, because of Vintage Reactions, we traditionally do not do a psychology corner on Vintage Reactions. So we got nothing there. But David, we got to end the episode same way we end every episode.
Oh my.
Are you ready, my friend?
Okay.
For this week's Star Wars dad joke?
I am ready. Let's do this thing.
Now, this week was announced that I don't know if you were aware, David, but this week the band Aerosmith announced that they're doing their final tour. They're not going on the road anymore. This is going to be their last tour, 40 concerts, and they're done.
Okay.
So in honor of Aerosmith's final tour, I have this joke for you. What is Princess Leia's favorite Aerosmith song?
Oh my God. Okay. What is Princess Leia's favorite Aerosmith song?
You walk this way.
Oh. Jeez. Oh, Ewok this way. That's actually pretty good.
You know what her favorite second favorite song is?
Oh no. What's her second favorite song?
Da 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 da. Chewbacca looks like an Ewok. Da 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 da. Chewbacca looks like an Ewok.
That is bad. That was bad.
Long live Aerosmith.
Well, our listeners are so lucky to get a twofer.
A twofer and serenaded too.
Yeah.
I tell ya, we're gonna have no listeners next week.
Oh. Numbers are going down, man. Subscribers down.
Oh Lord, it's not one thing, it's another. Oh, David, my friend, this has been a blast.
Great time, buddy. Great time.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Y'all are awesome. Y'all are the best. Have a happy, happy, happy Star Wars Day. May the Force be with you. Do something fun and kind for somebody today. Make the world a better place. Remember, this is your place for elegant discussion for a more civilized age.
If you'd like to share your thoughts, you can email us at show@starwarsreactions.com for our show notes and the latest news from the Star Wars universe. Visit our website at www.starwarsreactions.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at SWReactionsPod or on Facebook at Star Wars Reactions. If you enjoy our show, please leave a review on iTunes. This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or by Lucasfilm Limited. It's intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars. All names, sounds, and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and the respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Star Wars Reactions unless otherwise indicated. Star Wars Reactions. Elegant discussion for a more civilized age.